We live now? There we go. Good morning, everybody. Good morning. It is my pleasure to welcome you to First Universalist Church of Rochester. My name is Justin Wilson. I'm the Congregational Life Coordinator here. If this is your first time joining us this morning, we especially welcome you. Thank you for making it to our worshiping community. I want to extend the message that you belong because you are here. Please remain afterwards for the coffee hour in the Claire Barton Lounge as an opportunity to mingle and connect in fellowship. There's also a visitor's form on the back of your order of service that you can complete, or if you're online, there is a link in the chat that will be appearing. And you can also scan the QR code on the back of the order of service as well. We certainly want to offer a welcome beyond what we can do here this Sunday morning. If you're looking to be part of our welcoming ministry, we have a couple ways for you to be involved. You can email MJ Curry to get involved in helping us to put on our coffee hour. You can also meet with Grant there or with Shirley to be one of our greeters or ushers. And if you're interested in starting an LGBTQ social justice circle, we're trying to get that off the ground. So if you're interested, we are collecting names and contact for people who are interested so we can start that. Before we take a moment to turn towards our neighbor and before we go to the camera, we have a special message from Ann Rohde this morning.
Good morning. Raise your hand if you think you know what I might be about to say. I'm so pleased to report that with about 28 hours to spare, we made our goal of 100 pledges before June 30th. So I'm so grateful. Thank you. I'm grateful to my partner as co-chair of stewardship, and that was Howard Spindler. He couldn't be here today. Every member of the stewardship team, and those of you who pledged your extra $100, get your checkbook out, and I'm happy to do that, to write that check. And to everyone who pledged, it is so important, and I very, very much appreciate it. It feels really good to have something to celebrate, eh? Thank you so much.
Thank you, Anne, for sharing that wonderful news and your music talents this morning. And now let's take a moment to say hi to our online community by standing and waving towards the flag and the camera in the back corner there. We're glad you can join us this morning as well. If you're in the chat, you can offer a greeting to each other as well. And if you're here in person, now's the time to take a moment and turn toward our neighbor and offer a greeting this morning.
And as we wrap up our welcoming of each other, let us join together in singing hymn number 1, May Nothing Evil Cross This Door.
And may your fortune Good morning. I usually recognize and accept the interdependence of all living beings with whom we share our beautiful planet. But sometimes, far too often in these perilous times, I feel overwhelmed by the magnitude of the problems and uncertainties we all face, and forget that we all still have power to make change. In A Holy Alchemy, Kim Mason reminds us of this power. Reading these words gives me strength and hope for the future. I'd like to share them with you. Once upon a time, chemists believed they could transform lead into gold or death into life. We laugh, but are we not also in the business of alchemy, turning loneliness into connection, pain into comfort, anger into solidarity, faith into action? The subtle magic of church combines love with justice, creates hope out of fear, transforms individuals into community. Here, we engage in a holy alchemy, finding beauty in the ordinary and life in the present. Come, let us be transformed together. As Bill Shamal comes forward to light our chalice, let us say the words together. May we be people welcome here to grow in heart, mind, and spirit, and may we reach out to serve our community. Let us stand now and say the affirmation of faith together. Love is the doctrine of this church. The quest for truth is its sacrament, and service is its prayer. All together in peace, to seek knowledge and freedom, to serve humanity in fellowship, to the end that all souls shall grow into harmony with the source and meaning of love, thus in covenant with each other and all. Now is the time we can support the work of the church by translating our concerns into action. As John Wesley said, do all the good you can, by all the means you can, in all the places you can, at all the times you can, to all the people you can, as long as ever you can. The offering will now be given and gratefully received. If you are a visitor, please feel free to let the basket pass. You are invited to give online by scanning the QR code on the back of your order surface. Please place your offering in the offering basket or give online, I just said that, on the QR code on the back of your order service. This is also a great time to place visitors' forms in the offering basket. For folks online, please click the link in the chat to give to First Universalist Church. Thank you for your generosity. This morning's offering will now be gratefully received.
Each Sunday morning, we take time with each other for the sharing of joys and concerns. When we share with one another our personal highs and lows, we enlarge our circle of love and strengthen our caring for one another. I invite you now, all of you, into this sacred time where we share what's in our hearts and on our minds. If you would like to, you can place your hand over your heart to be able to listen from a heart-centered place. We all know, how very much is going on in our world today. And if you have sorrows and joys on behalf of our global community, then you're encouraged to do so this morning and in the future. As Dolores places stones into a bowl, I will read aloud the joys and sorrows of our gathered community. All online are also invited to share your joys and sorrows in the chat. A remembrance from Tom Williams. 57 years ago today, I left Fort Lewis, Washington to serve my year in Vietnam. A joy from Michael Scott, looking forward to the wedding this coming weekend of my niece Rhiannon in Madison, Wisconsin. A joy from Ann Brody, William and I are celebrating our 28th anniversary today. From Marty Eggers, joy for all the help and support and prayers as I embark on this journey. Concern for what lies ahead. Cancer, be gone. From Bill Shupnell, joy overwhelmed with gratitude for the responses to my June 29th call to worship. From John Lukes, 1 month after Carol's mother passed away at 94, our beloved Welsh Corgi Andy passed on Monday at 13 years of age. We're devastated and learning to accept which grief leads toward mourning. From Johanna's iPad, moving to independent living apartment August 1st, in a frenzy here sorting hundreds of books and too much stuff. I can definitely relate to that. Today we share in a community ritual to honor the many joys and sorrows that we bring into this space, whether they are read aloud or kept in the silent sanctuaries of our hearts. In a moment, those here in person are invited to come forward to drop stones into the bowl. If you need to remain seated, please raise your hand and someone will come to you with a bowl to drop stones in. If you are joining us online, please use your reaction buttons to indicate a heart, or please place a heart into the chat. Let us join in this collective ritual of honoring the joys and sorrows of us all. Now the circle of our care is drawn larger. May it increase forevermore. I invite you now to join with me in a spirit of prayer and meditation. This morning, we pray for our country's leaders in this tragic and unjust moment in our history. May they be confronted every day with the need for justice by those who still have fairness on their lips and compassion in their hearts. May they be reminded of the value of human life and liberty every time they step into the public square. May they never be allowed to forget those who elected them, nor those who did not. So very many of us are gravely worried, anxious, and afraid. Who will uphold our basic human rights? Who will protect us from rollbacks on liberties? Who will lead us through the shadows? Who will remember us? Spirit of life and love, holy presence all around, embrace us with your wisdom and peace. Surround us with reassurance and fill our hearts with purpose. Empower us to do what is right. May our hearts be expanded as the time comes for us to comfort one another. May our minds be charged with creativity as we find our way forward. May our bodies remain well so that we can travel to state capitals and stand up to ICE agents who rob people of their liberty. May our spirits be guided by our values. May our lives speak, be they gentle and angry or loud and clear. May we remain united in our mission as people of faith to connect deeply, grow together, and serve one another. Blessed be, may it be so. Amen. Amen. Blessed be. May it be so. And with that spirit in our hearts, let us join together now and sing Spirit of Life. And let me just start by thanking everyone for joining us on this warm Sunday morning. Many, many years ago, our minister, Beth Banks, said to me one time, there's a lot to be said for people who will willingly give up sitting around on Sunday morning drinking coffee and will instead come to a worship service and try to expand their spirituality. So thank you all. I have never forgotten Mrs. Lang, even though I actually never met Mrs. Lang. She was my friend Pam's anatomy and physiology teacher in college. You know how people who are close friends of ours, their stories often kind of become our stories. We get so familiar with them and we hear them so many times. And I heard about Mrs. Lang a lot. My friend Pam had a massive stroke when she was only 4 years old, which is something that's quite unusual. So she had to learn to walk and talk and do a million other things over again that most of us have already learned at that point. She did a remarkable job, and her mother was a remarkable teacher. Her mother taught herself all of the physical therapy exercises that needed to be done, and she did them faithfully every day with Pam, even when Pam, as a 4-year-old, didn't always want to do them. And she never, ever allowed anyone to pity Pam or do things for her. She wanted her to be as independent as she possibly could be. And together with the help of family, friends, and a legion of professionals, Pam and her mother were successful. Pam and I are the same age, and she has led a very full life. She's had a career, a marriage, and a wonderful, thoughtful son. She is absolutely the most organized and spotless housekeeper that I know. She's a fabulous cook. She's an accomplished baker, and she takes in and lovingly cares for stray cats, many, many stray cats over the years. She drives, she can cut the grass, she even learned how to tie her shoes with one hand. Now, the stroke left her right arm completely paralyzed, and because she had been right-handed, she also had to learn to do all these things over again with her non-dominant hand. She is quite an accomplished and disciplined person. Now, having said all of that, I will add that none of this came easy to her, none of it. She has always, and I have known her entire life. She and I have been friends since when she had her stroke. That's how long the relationship is. So I really have had an opportunity to observe her over her lifespan. And she has always had to work at least twice as hard as everyone else has to accomplish what she wants to achieve. But she always does it. And this was true in college, too. She studied much harder and much more methodically than any of our other friends, and myself included. And it took her longer than it did most of us to get her degree. Now, anyone here who has ever taken anatomy and physiology knows what a tough course it is. I took it myself, and I just barely managed to pass it by 1 point. And Pam really struggled with it. About 4 or 5 weeks into the semester, she was finding it very rough going. She had failed a couple of quizzes and she wasn't sure that she was going to pass the course. And for her, it was a course that she needed for her major, so she really had to pass it. So she went to speak to the instructor, Mrs. Lang, to see if she could get some kind of extra help. And I have never forgotten what Mrs. Lang said, and neither has Pam. "I'm sorry," Mrs. Lang said, "but I don't believe in helping students. You have to do this all on your own. No one helped me, and look where I am today. I have several degrees from prestigious universities. I have been very successful in my career. I have a wonderful husband who is a successful attorney. I have a happy marriage. I have 3 bright, successful children. I have a lovely home, a summer cottage. We've got lots of money in the bank. And I accomplished all of this 100% on my own. I never asked anyone to help me at all, and no one ever gave me anything. The only way that you will ever be successful is to follow my example and do everything all on your own, with no help from anyone." Then she said, "Honestly, I don't really think you have what it takes. But you never know. Either way, this is your problem to solve." As a teacher, and as all the other teachers in the room, I'm sure are thinking right now, I can assure you that there is a lot to criticize. about that response. In fact, an entire sermon could be written about that all by itself. But instead, I want to focus on the faulty logic that Mrs. Lang used to construct her argument, the enormous fallacy at the heart of her entire identity. The idea that she had in fact achieved everything all by herself, and by extension, her belief that she was entitled to everything that she had all because of her own virtues. Now, all I know concretely about Mrs. Lang is this one story. Granted, though, she did give a lot about herself away in this story, both about her life circumstances and certainly about the way that she saw herself. So I can glean, I think, a fair amount from this one story. So what do you think? Did Mrs. Lang really accomplish everything all by herself? I love it. Call and response. Was her successful life truly the product of her virtue alone? And so while I can't possibly know all of the details of her life from this one story, I can still sort of construct what's a plausible biography for her. So I will fictionalize some of the details, but I am doing so to make a point. Mrs. Lang was born in the United States in the 20th century, so she had access to quality, free public education. She was in her 50s in the early 1980s, so she was born sometime in the 1920s and 1930s. She came of age in an era where most women still didn't go to college, and at a time when financial aid and student loans made college more accessible to the masses. That wasn't going on yet. So the fact that she attained several degrees from prestigious universities tells me that she most likely came from a family with some money. It's remotely possible that she was truly exceptional and earned scholarships to pay for her entire education, but I think if that were the case, it's unlikely that she would have been content teaching at a small rural community college. So here's where I really need to start fictionalizing some details. But as I so often point out to my students, there are different genres of fiction. So what I am constructing for you this morning is definitely going to be realistic fiction. So let's just say Mrs. Lang grew up in a nice suburban neighborhood. Let's say her father was a doctor, her mother a trained musician who herself had a graduate degree in piano and gave lessons at home. Mrs. Lang probably maybe had one younger sister. And as a musician, Mrs. Lang started both of her girls out with piano lessons at the age of 4. So if that were the case, at the same time that Mrs. Lang was taking piano lessons, my friend Pam was learning how to walk and talk again. Mrs. Lang was learning to play scales and simple melodies on the piano and was probably already able to read simple storybooks because let's say her mother sat with her every night at the kitchen table reading with her so that she'd have a jump on the other kids when she started school. And that jump had paid off. Mrs. Lang made a seamless transition to school, and in addition to her academic superiority, she had very good social skills. Her parents traveled in well-educated circles, and by the time Mrs. Lang entered school, she had already been exposed to a variety of different people from different walks of life. The children she played with were from similarly privileged backgrounds, so the lesson that her family instilled in her were always reinforced by her peers. Let's say she excelled in music and she played in the orchestra all through school, and this helped her build her self-confidence, as well as all of the other neurodevelopmental advantages that music lessons give children. Mrs. Lang had another valuable attribute. She was pretty, and this I can verify because I did see a picture of her, and she was quite attractive. She had thick blonde hair, wide-set blue eyes, full lips, and from what I could see in the picture, a good figure. So boys were probably interested in Mrs. Lang from an early age, and she understood that she could afford to be choosy when it came to picking a mate. She was a teacher's dream, studious, bright, disciplined, organized, and even-tempered with excellent manners. And by high school, maybe her father was on the school board, And if that were the case, then she knew she had to be a good student and she couldn't afford even a hint of scandal. Let's say she followed her mother to Barnard College. Her close bond with her physician father had instilled in her a desire to enter the medical field, so she majored in biology. Mom and Dad were generous with her allowance, so she really got to take advantage of being in New York City. And it was there that she discovered her real aptitude for anatomy and physiology. So even though her 1950s era mother felt that a bachelor's degree was more than adequate for a girl, her father, lacking a son, agreed to finance her graduate education at, say, Cornell or some other, because she said she had prestigious degrees. And it was probably here that she met her husband, a law student, and on her story progressed from here. Again, fictionalized details, but I think it's probable. As I've already told you, Pam had her stroke at the age of 4. So in addition to the permanent damage done to her body and her brain, she also lost valuable developmental time having to learn things that a toddler learns all over again. And when she did finally go to school, she had a paralyzed arm and she walked with a severe limp and she has a slow processing speed. So teachers were very quick to underestimate her. And kids teased and bullied her, like there was one boy who called her Hop Along Cassidy because of the way she walked. And as for her family, we can compare, and this is not fictionalized because I know this family. Pam's father was a cop with a drinking problem and an infidelity problem as well. Her mother worked as a cashier at the PNC and had to take 18 months off when Pam had her stroke to do all of that care and therapy that was required. And so the family always struggled financially, and her parents were always at odds, and then it got worse when eventually her father left her mother for another woman when Pam was 16. So clearly, from these two stories, a lot more separated Pam from Mrs. Lang than a dose of moxie and a little elbow grease. And yet, ironically, in asking Mrs. Lang for help, Pam demonstrated that she understood far better than Mrs. Lang did how the world actually works. Pam understood that we live in an interdependent web of existence, so interdependent that we cannot separate ourselves from each other. And while we all seem to understand this interdependence, at least to some degree on the physical level, we often fail to recognize that even our very identities depend upon this web as well. We don't exist as separate entities in any way, not in any way. An unfortunate aspect of American culture is the ubiquitous and enduring myth of the self-made person. It's baked into our DNA from a very young age. And I think we all probably subscribe to it on some level. I myself am not above saying at times, well, no one gave me anything. I earned what I have. But I know in my heart that this is not true at all. As my realistically fictionalized version of Mrs. Lang's life shows us, no one does it on their own. No one. Yet a part of each and every one of us, I think, because of the American culture that most of us were raised in, a part of us still clings to this myth of pull yourself up by the bootstraps and strong self-sufficiency nonetheless. Like so many of us, I grew up loving the story of Little House on the Prairie, both the books and the TV series. What I didn't appreciate until very recently was the subtle but persistent libertarian theme that permeates the stories. Think about it. Pa worked hard. Ma worked hard. The girls worked hard. Through this hard work, they built a house, a barn, a farm. Indeed, an entire life for themselves on the prairie, all by themselves. Everything they accomplished was through virtue. And by extension, then, if they can do it, we can all do the same. Now, this is fascinating to me, and I've done some reading about it. This was deliberate, according to biographers. The purpose of the books was to spread this message. Laura's daughter Rose was an accomplished and published author long before her mother wrote the Little House on the Prairie series. And it is now widely agreed upon by scholars that Rose played a big role in helping her mother write the books and shaping the message of the narrative. Rose, interestingly enough, was a disciple of Ayn Rand, the philosopher and writer whose philosophy centered on the concept of individual self-interest. It emphasized the pursuit of one's own happiness as the ultimate moral purpose, advocating that laissez-faire capitalism is not only the morally just social system, but also this philosophy completely rejects the concept of altruism. Laura Ingalls Wilder and her daughter very much disliked Franklin Delano Roosevelt and the New Deal. And according to a PBS article written by Liz Fields, they were both physically ill over FDR and the New Deal. They felt that it was just a really inappropriate response to hard times. I mean, they had seen hard times. Why did the government want to help people? And Laura Ingalls thought that everybody was starting to whine about the New Deal, and she just couldn't stand it, this biographer said. It made her sick. These politics were on full display in a 1934 letter that Laura Ingalls Wilder wrote to a book editor at Harper's. This is the quote: "Lord, give me patience. How exasperating a bunch of communists in Washington can be. I suppose we all have to do what they want and await their pleasure. Give them time and enough power, and they will put us all on the federal payroll, or they'll put us on relief." So I don't think it's any coincidence that the first Little House book was published in 1932. So in fairness to Mrs. Lang, having grown up in the mid-20th century and having been fed a steady diet of this ubiquitous libertarian propaganda, she probably did really believe herself to be a self-made woman, a woman who had earned everything that she had through hard work and self-sufficiency. And I think deep inside most of us, those of us that have been raised in this culture anyway, we believe on some level that we have earned everything that we have and that we have earned rightfully everything that we own. And we probably all, to an extent, buy into the myth that anyone can achieve anything through enough sacrifice and hard work. So let's take a moment of self-reflection. Everybody take a minute and look inward and think about your own life. Did you really do it all alone? Can you honestly say that you never had help? That no one ever gave you a break? That you weren't sometimes given things you hadn't really earned? That you didn't cut a little corner once in a while when no one was looking? That you weren't born with certain advantages? That you never benefited from connections? That you haven't had a lot of out-and-out good luck? I can honestly say no to all. I've absolutely checked all of those boxes. All of those things apply to me and my life. But like all of us, I have days when I'm not feeling very good about myself, and when I feel like a failure, or at least when I feel like I'm nowhere near as successful as I could have been or should have been or wanted to be, I take comfort in mentally ticking off in my mind all of my accomplishments. And it does make me feel better. But the main reason it is so comforting is that inherent in this exercise, at least for me, is the belief in my own virtue. Embedded in this train of thought is the prideful feeling that I did all of these things on my own. Look at what I did. But lately, I have been very consciously trying to make a shift in my thinking. I still take comfort from ticking off this list, but I deliberately have tried to make the shift from thinking of them as blessings. I tried it now to think of them as blessings rather than accomplishments. In this narrative, then, I am the recipient of incredible good fortune more than I am the conqueror of circumstances. And I think it's a much more honest portrayal of the truth. And while identifying with a fictionalized version of the Ingalls family or Mrs. Lang makes us feel proud and virtuous, understanding that we are probably much more like my friend Pam will make us grateful and compassionate and justice-seeking. So as we all know, and it's been alluded to already this morning, we are living in a new and scary era. Never has Ayn Rand's philosophy ever held more power over American life, I don't think, than it does right now. Abject cruelty is the ethos of the current political era that we're in. It comes, however, wrapped in a cloak of false virtue. And it appeals to the fictionalized version of Laura Ingalls Wilder that lives in the heart of all Americans, I think, or most of us anyway. Inculcated as most of us were, we all resonate on some level with this false self-sufficiency narrative. And I believe that to a degree, we all equate worth and value with success and self-sufficiency. Look at the kinds of things people will say. My grandfather worked hard. He earned everything on his own. It's a part of American culture. It's a part of who we are. And unless I unconsciously remind myself that we all inhabit an interdependent web of identity, I fall into believing it too, because it is baked into me, having been raised in this culture. But this view of the world is not compatible with Unitarian Universalist principles and purposes, because we believe in the inherent worth and dignity of every person. Now, we usually focus on the worth and dignity part of this principle, but this morning I want to uplift the inherent aspect of it. Every person is inherently worthy. This means that no one's worth is contingent upon any accomplishment that they may have made. Each and every person is worthy and precious simply because they exist. The big, beautiful budget bill is being sold to the American people with the same tired self-sufficiency ethos that I have been exploring this morning. Mehmet Oz, the administrator for the Centers of Medicare and Medicaid Services, said that people will be able to keep their Medicaid, quote, if they can prove their worth. Think about that for a minute. You will be able to go to the doctor and get penicillin if you can prove your worth. What does this proof look like? How are people going to do this? The ability to present as self-sufficient, the ability to perform labor, the willingness to buy into the little house on the prairie fantasy that we all can accomplish anything we want as long as we work hard enough, and the ethos that our worth isn't inherent but rather is earned. As moral, concerned, compassionate, justice-oriented human beings, we have a duty to push back against this idea that worth must be proven and value must be earned. It is not only incompatible with our Unitarian Universalist principles and purposes, but it is also, by the way, incompatible with the teachings of the Christian faith that many of our friends on the right claim is central to everything they believe and everything that they do. Over the course of my life, I have become a firm believer in the idea that we transform the world by transforming ourselves and our hearts and our souls. So I invite each and every one of you this morning to pay close attention to how you think about yourself and how you think about your supposed accomplishments. I encourage you to see that your identity is not the result of your own virtue and hard work, although that did play a role, but rather a lot of it is a gift that you received from being part of the interdependent web of identity of which we are all a part, and that we have much more in common with my friend Pam's truth than we do with Mrs. Lang's fiction. That we are all the recipients of incredible gifts from each other, from circumstances, and from the universe. And we must move through the world with that awareness and use it to inform the way we see others. If you look at what's going on right now with the ICE raids, what they really are doing is they are destroying people's identities. And we need to be able to see that we're all interdependent that way, and that when anyone else's identity is destroyed, it has an effect on us as well. So I'd like to propose that we stop celebrating accomplishments and start cherishing the miracle of our very existence and the existence of each and every person around us. We are not separate, discrete beings. We are embedded completely in a rich, interdependent, overlapping, and tangled web where it's impossible to tell where we end and where others begin. I just talked to my friend Pam the other day. In her retirement, she's taken a job as a one-to-one aide in a special education classroom. And she wanted to share with me the results of her year-end evaluation. Her supervisor praised her for always going above and beyond when it came to helping her students be successful. Now, she may not have ever turned out to be as successful as Mrs. Lang, but she has a much better understanding of how the world really works. And on that note, let us join together singing our closing hymn, number 134, Our World is One World. Please remain standing as Dolores extinguishes our chalice flame this morning, and let us read together the words printed on the screen. We extinguish this flame, but we keep its light in our hearts with its message of love and justice, taking it outside these walls to the world we live in until we are together again. As we close our service this morning, I invite you to again place your hand over your heart. If you are joining us online, I invite you to turn your settings to gallery view and look upon the faces of those here with you. And for those of us here in this room, let us take a moment to look around at the interdependent web of people who are here with us today. No matter how weak or how frightened we feel, we each have gifts that can make a difference in the world. In this coming week, may we all do at least one thing to support the broken, to welcome the stranger, to celebrate what is worthy, to do the work of justice and love. Be strong. Be connected. Each day act so that you may be a little more whole. And to this, let us say together, Amen. Everyone is invited to join us for the ministry of the coffee hour in the Clara Barton Lounge immediately after the service.
I